It's the Acting Income Podcast with Ben Houck, episode 23. How the word professional applies to you as an actor.
It's the Acting Income Podcast with Ben Houck. Turn your passion into income. Ben will show you how. With all the resources that you need to make it as an actor in an expensive city. To stay balanced and make money, you really can't go wrong with actingincome.com.
Welcome to the Acting Income Podcast. I'm Ben Houck, and on this weekly podcast, we talk about topics related to earning an income as an actor. I'm honored to have you listening. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click the subscribe button on iTunes or in your podcast's app, and you'll get episodes right as they come out every week. This is episode 23, titled, How the Word Professional Applies to You as an Actor. The show notes for this episode have all the important links referenced in today's show, which you can pull up right now at actingincome.com/episode 23. And now, here's a word from today's sponsor, the FICOR Workbook. If you joined the union and you found that pretty much all of your work as an actor more or less dried up, then you might have heard about this mysterious thing called financial core status. You may have even plugged the term FICOR into Google, only to be alarmed by a lot of scare tactics and fear-mongering about FICOR. That's why I created the FICOR Workbook. The FICOR Workbook is a guide for screen actors who want to get past the scare tactics and read impartial facts about financial core status to see whether going that way may get you acting and working again. And I've made the FICOR Workbook a downloadable ebook, so you can start reading it now. It's the most up-to-date resource on financial core for the screen actor. Consult your tax preparer to see if the FICOR Workbook is a full tax write-off for your acting business. To download the FICOR Workbook right now, visit ficorcentral.com/workbook. That's ficorcentral.com/workbook. In episode 4 of the Acting Income Podcast, I delved into the meaning of the word success as it applies to you as an actor. Today's episode is about a different word, the word professional. What does it mean? And how does it apply to you as an actor? Professional is one of those words that has a pretty standard dictionary meaning, but in use it has a lot of different meanings that aren't really related to the standard dictionary one. So today we're going to talk about what it means to be professional as an actor, in hopes of better figuring out what the word implies, but also in hopes of guarding against silly uses of the word that don't really describe you very well as an actor. First off, one of the biggest lessons I learned in life was that words don't mean, people mean. The lesson more or less comes from a 1923 book by C.K. Ogden and I.A. Richards titled The Meaning of Meaning. The lesson that words don't mean, people mean, taught me that words don't have some kind of inherent meaning. Instead, people have inherent meaning, and people are the ultimate resource to check for what their words mean, not some dictionary. Dictionaries might help you get a general sense of what people mean when they use a word, but ultimately, you have to ask people what they mean when they use a particular word if you really want to know what they mean. So, you're an actor, and say someone calls you professional. What does that person mean? Well, you can ask that person, and so this podcast episode ends. But let's say you don't ask what they mean when they call you professional. We can consult the dictionary for a general sense of the term. The Oxford English Dictionary is a descriptive dictionary documenting the historical use of the English language dating back hundreds of years, and it offers a number of definitions for the word professional. According to the OED, the word professional means designating or relating to a cell which is specialized for the ingestion of particles by phagocytosis, such as a macrophage or neutrophil. Great! Someone called you a professional actor! You're a macrophage! You digest cellular debris! Obviously, you're not going to confuse the physiological meaning of the word professional with a more appropriate meaning of the term when someone calls you professional as an actor. Context is an important factor in understanding what someone means when they say something. So, more than likely, you're going to think that the word professional is more like this definition from the OED. Of a person or persons that engages in a specified occupation or activity for money or as a means of earning a living, rather than a pastime, contrasted with amateur. Given this definition, if you call yourself a professional actor, you mean at some point you made money for your acting. And if so, as host of the Acting Income Podcast, I salute you. The trouble with that definition is, though, it's not very descriptive of you as an actor, and it's probably not what they meant when they called you professional. If someone says, I like that actor Ben Houck, he's professional, what does that mean? Does it mean, I like that actor Ben Houck. He takes money for his acting. Maybe they mean that, but it'd be a pretty lame thing to say. Chances are when someone's calling me professional as an actor, he or she means something a little more than that I take money for my acting. What might that little more than taking money be for the actor? Well, if you turn to the union, the answer might be that the professional actor is the union actor. If you've been listening to the podcast of late, you might have heard that I've attended some SAG-AFTRA meetings this past year. At those meetings, I heard the word professional also thrown around. Various union leaders at the meeting I attended, such as 2 Best in the Biz meetings and 1 membership orientation, invoked the word professional when talking about union actors. I heard an executive director say that the union is where the family of professionals is. I heard a chair say, you can't be a professional unless you're in the union. And I heard the claim that union membership is the mark of professionalism. All in all, the theme from the union was that when you join the union, you become a professional actor. Cue the fife and drum corps. Now, when I heard this, I couldn't help but think of all of the reasons that union membership is not the mark of a professional actor. For one, there are some talented professional actors who aren't in the union yet, who make money at what they do and earn livings as non-union actors. Then there are those actors who are in the union, and let's just say we don't really see them as all that professional for whatever reason. Let's put it this way. There are some non-union people out there who are bunches more professional than some of the union people out there. And what about financial core? Are you not professional as a non-union actor, suddenly professional when you're in the union? Then when you resign from the union and declare financial core status, are you suddenly not professional again? When you're FI-Core, are you only professional when you do union jobs, but not professional when you legally work non-union jobs? In contrast to the union's perspective, joining a union doesn't suddenly professionalize an actor. Being a professional professionalizes you as an actor. If you don't believe me, just ask Rick Wrights. He's the president of the Atlanta local of SAG-AFTRA. In 2014, he did an interview with a podcast called The Naked Unicorn, which I cited back in episode 19. In the interview, Rick defines the term professional as he understands it. Here he is.
To be a professional actor is simply to be paid for your craft. Doesn't mean you're union or non-union. Now, there are people who work towards the professional ideal, presumably at a higher level, and they tend to associate with the craft unions. And so chances are you will find many more professionals, top professionals, in a union basis. That is not to say you will not find good professionals in a non-union scenario. And certainly as time progresses, people who are simply exposed to work and get experience, they grow in their ability and their craft, and they become valuable in another way.
So here you have a union leader essentially saying that union membership has nothing to do with professionalism, and other union representatives saying union membership is the hallmark of professionalism. What's a boy to do? What does the word professional mean when describing an actor? What I like about what Rick Wright says is that he hits on a point that I want to make about what it means to be called professional as an actor. Rick talks about ability, experience, and craft, and being valuable for those skills. The point I'd like to make, if you'll let me, is this, that professionalism has nothing to do with getting paid as an actor. Professionalism has everything to do with accomplishing goals. For support, let's go back to the Oxford English Dictionary for yet another definition of the word professional that appears within the lexicon. The word professional may also mean that has or displays the skill, knowledge, experience, standards, or expertise of a professional. Competent, efficient. This definition of the term says nothing of money or compensation. This definition dwells on skill, knowledge, experience, standards, expertise, competence, efficiency. And this is the ballpark we're talking when someone calls you professional as an actor. When you're called professional as an actor, someone's not saying that you get paid. They're saying that you get the job done. If you're not buying my take that the professional actor is not the actor who is paid, but instead the actor who accomplishes goals, let's look at the antonym of the word professional, the word unprofessional. You probably have a clearer sense of what the word unprofessional means than for the word professional. You probably have a really sharp image in your head of what unprofessional looks like. Of course, it depends on context, but it probably means something like showing up to an acting job late, not memorizing lines, doing repeated takes, acting inappropriately on set or at rehearsals, not valuing others, goofing off, wasting people's time, and so on. Probably what didn't come to mind was, unprofessional. that word means doesn't get paid. Again, we return to the Oxford English Dictionary for its definition of the term unprofessional. It says, below, contrary to, or failing to meet the standards expected in a particular profession, especially improper or inappropriate in a professional context. The OED definition for unprofessional says nothing about not getting paid. The definition dwells on standards, which the OED definition of professional also touched on. So, when someone calls you professional, rather than the opposite of amateur, they probably mean something more along the lines of the opposite of unprofessional. In other words, when you're called a professional actor, you could be paid or not. What they mean is that you accomplish the goals you're charged to accomplish. You probably don't do all the things like showing up late without lines memorized that get in the way of you accomplishing your goals. So, given our image of the unprofessional actor, we have sharper insight into what it means to be professional as an actor. While I could just say showing up on time, memorizing your lines, acting appropriately on set, and valuing others makes you a super professional actor, there's more to professionalism than that. Your professionalism depends on what goals you're charged to achieve. If you can achieve them in the allotted time, you're professional. If you can't in the allotted time, maybe you're still relatively professional, but maybe there's also room to grow. I've been called professional before. It felt good, but I wondered why I was called that. From what I could tell, it was because the production could throw a number of curveballs at me as an actor, and I would simply do whatever they wanted me to do with a yes. They want me to read, I read. Sing, I sing. Do push-ups, I do push-ups. Of course, I don't know what they truly meant by the word professional when they called me that, but based on the context, it seemed to mean that I would and could do any job they charged me with, and I didn't have a problem with the task. I would accomplish any goal they charged me with. Calling me professional also seemed like a comparison, that I either exceed their expectations or that others just don't play at my level. I don't really know what they meant. I'd have to ask. So, here is a list of 5 traits that I believe is meant when someone calls you professional as an actor. You could call these general standards of professionalism if you want. They're just what I mean by the word professional, but I hope you'll agree to. First off, and most importantly, you perform the job at hand, particularly on the first try, within the allotted time frame. For the actor, this generally means that you're hired to play a character, you show up to set memorized, and your first take is all you need to do, you're that good. Or if you're the stage actor, this generally means that you're hired to play a character, you show up to rehearsals memorized, and you're ready with your performance when the production needs you to be ready. Basically, to be called professional, you do all your work and you deliver it on time. Second, you report ready at the requested time. If there's a van, you catch it on time. If there's a rehearsal time, you're ready to rehearse at call. You have your lines memorized so as not to waste others' time with memorization problems or calling for line. When you're ready at your requested time, you are maximizing the time production is allotted for you to accomplish your goals. Third, you let not ordinary burdens subtract from your performance. Surely, you may have stresses going on in your personal life, but professionals put them aside and don't let them interfere with the goal to accomplish. That said, extraordinary burdens, like a death in the family, are a different story. And while a professional may still perform in the face of extraordinary burdens, it's usually not a mark against the actor's professionalism should he or she attend to some family crisis or the like. Fourth, you make the most intelligent choices possible for you, informed by the knowledge gained from past experience. Put another way, in your life, you've accumulated knowledge about things. When you apply that knowledge in your decision-making as an actor, you are seen as intelligent. But when you don't apply that knowledge in your decision-making as an actor, you're seen more or less as stupid. The professional actor makes the most intelligent choices possible in the pursuit of accomplishing the goal charged, as opposed to making stupid choices not informed by knowledge gained from past experience. Fifth, and lastly, you honor contracts and the words surrounding them. If you signed on to do something, you do it. If you said you do something, you do it. You're good for your word. If you're good for your word, you're quite the professional. So, to recap, when someone calls you professional, they probably mean you exhibit some of these 5 traits. You perform the job at hand on the first try in the allotted time. You report ready when requested. You don't let ordinary burdens get in your way. You make the most intelligent choices you know. And you honor your contracts. When I say that being professional means accomplishing goals, we're ultimately talking about behaving appropriately. Behaving appropriately is what being professional means. If your goal is to jump off a cliff, you focus yourself for that task. That would probably be considered appropriate behavior. You don't run away. That would probably be considered inappropriate behavior. Now, did you hear anything missing from that definition of professional? It excludes anything about compensation. Why? Because to be professional, as I see it, does not require compensation. You can accomplish an acting job without getting paid for it. You can volunteer your acting services. In both cases, you could still behave professionally. If you think that professionalism does require payment, let's say that in my definition, you can be paid as little as $0 to be called professional. It's not as if the amount of compensation an actor receives is a signifier of professionalism. A spoiled lead actor on a television series might be making far more than the non-union background actors on the project, but the background actors may be more professional of actors on the whole. Put another way, an actor paid $1 million who shows up an hour late to set is not as professional as the featured actor who is ready to go at her call time, at least in that respect. And to be professional does not require union membership. You can perform the job at hand and be non-union or union or financial core. You can fail to do the job at hand and be non-union or financial core. I joined SAG-AFTRA after getting cast in Law & Order, and I had nowhere near the kind of knowledge or expertise I have now as a non-member. If my union membership meant I was professional when I was green, but now not professional as a more experienced non-member, then the sun is the moon and the sky is the sea. But circling back to the 1923 book by Ogden and Richards, The Meaning of Meaning, words don't mean, people mean. If I call you professional as an actor, you have a better sense of what I, Ben Houck, mean when I say it, given this podcast episode. The Oxford English Dictionary doesn't go into what I, Ben Houck, mean when I say the word professional. And the same applies when someone else calls you professional, or when you're wondering whether you're professional as an actor. Ask. Inquire what the person means and what you mean by it. Surely you may only mean that you've been paid once as an actor. But if my hunch is right, there's a lot more to it for you than that. Do you have thoughts about what it means to be professional as an actor? Tweet at me at ActingIncome on Twitter, or leave a comment in the show notes. Hey, we're at the end. I guess it's time to say, and that's the show. This episode was sponsored by the FICOR Workbook from FICOR Central. To download the FICOR Workbook, visit ficorcentral.com/workbook. The show notes for this episode are available at actingincome.com/episode 23, where you can also leave a comment on this episode. You can also find Acting Income on Twitter and Facebook. Rate and review this podcast on iTunes by visiting actingincome.com/iTunes. Pitch an episode idea by visiting actingincome.com/pitch. And if you'd like to sponsor an episode, check out actingincome.com/advertise. I'm Ben Houck, which is my professional name. And for more information, as always, check out actingincome.com.